Hotepu gatekeepers all. This video is in response to a very often asked question I get, and that is, what exactly are the gates referred to in the phrase gatekeeper? The phrase gatekeeper is one coined by the black Dogon people of Mali, who were in fact, and still are, the descendants from ancient Kemet. And they moved westward from Kemet in the east of North Africa towards the west when the white terrorists were coming from the north of Europe to invade Africa. And so the pharaoh dispatched various temples within Kemet to go around the world to preserve the gods in different countries. And so the Dogon went westward towards Mali, and they preserved the gay teachings of Kemet. That was one of their shrines to guard. And the phrase gatekeeper was used, and is still used, to refer to our mission as gay people. That we have a job, we have a divine calling, and our calling is to maintain the gates. Now, gates refer to the communication of energies, the dialogue of energies between heaven, the earth itself, and humans in between. And only gay people were given the grace and the power to access all the gates and to maintain their balance. So when you want to know a culture or a civilization is about to end, the first sign is when they start attacking their gay citizens. Because we maintain the balance between the gods and the divine principles of that civilization, how those principles can work well on earth for the benefit of the community. Once a culture begins to attack those forces, meaning we gay people, that is the sign of the beginning of the end. So the more a civilization embraces their gay people, the stronger they'll become. So actually, gay people are pivotal to the survival of culture, to the flourishing of culture. We are very important. And many of the hetero people don't want to accept, because many hetero males are competitive. And you can't control a gatekeeper, because we're able to tap any gate. We can become or morph into any power. We can call the magic, the voodoo of any god. So it threatens hetero men who are more limited, much more limited, in their capacity to access divine powers because of their ego. They're so egotistical that they can't tap much of the universe. So they're frightened of us. They are threatened by us, and they should be, because once we're angered, we can start playing with many gates in that person's spirit or that person's environment, and can cause a lot of damage if we choose to, or a lot of healing if we choose to. So I want to tell all the gay people out there, you are powerful, that's why they're scared of you. We are powerful, that's why they're scared of us. And they should be scared of us, because as long as we're sleeping, we're no threat. But the golden beetle has come to wake you up and say, do not tolerate the hetero's bad behavior any longer. No more. And so to do that, you have to know your gates. And so I'll be doing in the very near future a series of retreats here in Sedona for the gay brothers to come here and to, as a community, as a brotherhood, meet other gay men, have a spiritual experience, really feel the power that you are, the power that has been bred into you to be forgotten, and to express that power in a very potent spot on earth. Sedona is definitely a power spot. And so I want to outline very briefly some of the key dynamics of the gates that make us gay. Many people think being gay is who you sleep with. That is one wonderful part of being gay. It is a core part of being gay. I do not like when people say, oh, gay's not who I am. I'm my talent. I'm my thoughts. I'm my feelings. No. Being gay is absolutely crucial and pivotal and central to who you are. So we put that at the center of our lives. And from that beautiful gay center, the other parts of our lives spawn and grow and flourish. So what makes you gay is your spirit. A beautiful part of that spirit is that you like your own. You're drawn to other men. And that's beautiful and wonderful. So from that natural attraction, a whole set of other forces are granted onto you. And those are the forces you're seeing on the screen here, which we'll cover very, very quickly. So the first thing you see here is this winged beetle here. His name is Khepera. And he forms one of our major theological doctrines, the theology of Khepera. The golden beetle is a religion. It is a spiritual path because we are Africans and we are black, and it's in the roots of black people to be religious. That's why this golden beetle movement in black gay history is a spiritual one, because it's African based. And so it is a religion, a path to enlightenment for gay men. And the beetle Khepera represents the theology and the doctrine of spiritual complexity science, what's called chaos theory. We are the first religious path that has turned chaos science, which is actually originally African. When you study Africa carefully, it is very chaos complexity science. But we have formalized it into an actual spiritual path based upon fractals, chaos theory, and complexity science. That's a very involved explanation that will have to come upon that one to really explain what that means. But I have on the screen here a few of the key words used in our religion, and these are words taken from actual lexicons of chaos science, complexity science. We have the words fractals, strange attractors, tipping point, butterfly effect, state space, canalization, self-similarity, etc. These are actual scientific terms used to describe our religion. And I have collated about 100 and I would say 140 scientific terms that I have co-opted into a religious or spiritual take. For example, the word fractal basically means nothing in life is smooth, it's edged, it's fuzzy, and refers to how everything in nature is a pattern that is infinite, what's called a bound infinity. That you can have any one thing, if you have one thing in your sight, like let's say a tree branch, a little twig from the ground, pick it up, the twig. If you keep zooming into it microscopically, it will never end. There is no limit to it. And it's never smooth, but it's going to be fuzzy and edgy like a fraction. Because you can go to the twig, then you have to measure all of the atoms, then all of the molecules, and all the protons, and all the neutrons, all the mesons. You keep going, zooming in, and it's never-ending patterns. So fractals refer to the fact, from a spiritual point of view, although your life is somewhat bounded, you are a certain person with a certain parentage, born in a certain town, you have a certain color of hair, you're a certain background. Those are truths, but they bind you. You are limited by those realities of your life. But if you go deeper within to your life into your patterns, you will find an unlimited resource in there, unlimited possibilities within your limit. The word strange attractors refers to the fact that everything in life will form patterns eventually, that everything is drawn to certain patterns in its self-expression. Strange attractors in our religion refer to your ways. There are just certain ways about you. You like certain things, you don't like certain things. And these strange attractors are identified in your astrology chart. The way your Benemal Star Venus is in your chart will definitely attract you to a certain kind of lover. You're going to like a certain kind of man. You're going to behave a certain way when you're with your man, based upon the strange attractors or the magnets deep within your system that pull you in a certain direction. So your strange attractors reveal why you do certain things a certain way, why you like certain things and don't like certain things. And everybody has their magnets in their spirit, so to speak. Tipping points refer to the stage in life when it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's when you're really ready for change. The moment where you've had enough and you're going to change something in your life. That's called a tipping point. Like critical mass. And every system, everything in the universe, has a moment when it's going to take on the change. We don't always take on change because change is challenging and can be stressful to a system. But there are these moments where just something overtakes you and you have to make a move. You've got to make a change. Those are called tipping points. They're also called transits in your astrology chart. Especially transits that involve the outer planets hitting the inner planets. Like the planet Bennu or Pluto, if it hits your Khonsu or Moon or your Sebek Mercury, those are triggers where you've had enough and you're going to make a serious change. That's only one example. Progressions can do this in your chart. Major progressions in your life coming up, etc. The butterfly effect is from chaos theory, and we use it in our system to refer to the power of tiny beginnings. That the beginning of something can activate a cascade of very huge consequences. The smallest thing in your life can forever change everything in your life, for good or bad. So, for example, that one night, let's say, a person decided not to use a condom. So we have two gay men together, and you're deciding in an instant, one tiny moment of your life, to not use a condom. It's very likely that you can catch a serious disease. And that disease will affect everything else in your life. From one small moment, one small decision, huge waves of consequence come from that one pebble thrown into the water. So you learn in the Golden Beetle to be mindful of your strange attractors, why you are drawn to behaving or attracting certain things. Being aware that you're about to hit a tipping point, that your life is ready for big change. To be mindful of the tiny decisions you make, the butterfly effect. That the beginning of something is all powerful. The seed of something has great power for the rest of that tree. The phrase state space refers to the area that is your life. You can only have your life. You can only live your life. That's called your state space or your boundary condition. Also known as your chart, your astrology chart, and your destiny reading. That's your state space. You can't get out of yourself. You have to live within yourself. You have to live with who you are and discover who you are and work on who you are. But remember, in that state space, there's infinite zoom. You can go deeper and deeper by zooming in, which is a phrase used in fractals, to zoom into ever smaller microscopic levels. Zooming in simply means meditate. by going within, zooming within to your love life, your financial situation, really meditating upon it, going inward, you will find you have infinite state space within a bounded condition. The next phrase you see there is canalization. It has the word canal in it. It means in a system, we watch how the patterns have changed in that system. It could be an ecosystem, or your nervous system, or family system, or national system, or governmental system, whatever. We watch how that system changed over time. And we notice that it kept changing in a certain direction. So, for example, North America is racist. It's a racist country. It was born out of racism. It was born out of terrorism called slavery. It still is racist. And no matter how much the country changes, it still keeps changing in the direction of racism. So we say it has etched a canal in its system. It keeps flowing in this one direction. Maybe to the left, maybe to the right, but it's always in the direction, in this context, of racist. So that gives us a sense of how your life will tend to play out. We watch your historic canalization, the direction your changes kept going in over time, to predict your future. And the last word you see up there is self-similarity, which simply means things that look alike are talking to each other. They're having a dialogue. So, for example, we could say that the network of roads from a highway to your house, like from the interstate, then to the main street, then to smaller streets, you notice the roads get very thick at first. The highway is very wide. Then it branches off a smaller road, then a smaller road, then a smaller road, then a tiny road somewhere in the suburbs. If you were to zoom out and get an airplane view, you would notice the layout of the streets resemble the branching features of a tree, where you have the trunk, which is really wide, then you have large trunk branches, which are the main roads off the highway, then you have smaller streets, and then tinier streets and little driveways. So there is a visual similarity between the way highways are laid out and the way that trees lay out. And that they also all resemble, highways and trees resemble, the way the nerves look, your nerves, or the way your lungs look on a microscopic level. This is kind of branching effect. Or the way that rivers look. So highways and nerves and brain synapses and rivers all look alike. They're self-similar. Some are huge. Your brain cells are very tiny. The highways are huge compared to the brain. Doesn't matter the size, they just look alike. And the fact they have this resemblance is meaningful. It's telling you that highways and brains and lightning bolts and tree roots and nerves are all somehow talking to each other, trying to give a message to you. So self-similarity teaches you, look for patterns. For example, you'll notice the way you date men is similar to how you can find dating patterns in your family. The kind of men you're drawn to, you'll find, are similar to the relationship patterns of those who came before you. We are more alike than not. And this is a major dynamic of the theology of the beetle, of Kepera. So that's a bit of this part of Gaytes. In order to understand Gaytes in general, you must understand this beetle's theology. You must become a master at the 140 words or so of a chaos spiritual path. We next have the theology of Amun. This is the theology, here is Amun here. The theology of mind. We have a complete doctrine on a gay man's mind, because the universe is intelligent. It is run by an intelligence. What you call the scientific behavior of gravity, light, electricity, all those formulas that control electricity and gravity and velocity and weight, orbital motion, all those things are run mathematically. So clearly there is an intelligence that made those formulas that maintain the order and the dynamics of the universe. We call that Amun, this beautiful God here. And so we know there's a mental side to the universe, to nature, and you have a mind. The theology of Amun is how we teach gay men to master their minds, because mind can mold things. Mind can shape matter, what's called mind over matter. But to know your mind, you must study the cosmic mind, which is Amun. He means cosmic consciousness. And you study your mind by observing the great mind of the universe through nature. You have to study nature very carefully. And you'll see how it thinks, how it keeps systems orderly. So you learn the theology of mind power is Amun. His lover is Ra. These are eternal lovers. They are one and the same, as we'll see in a minute over here, with Amun Ra combined. Ra here is power. Amun is mind, Ra is matter. Amun is consciousness, Ra is energy. So you learn the theology of mind under Amun here. And then you learn the theology of power, Ra. Then you learn Amun Ra, the combination of mind over matter. How mind can mold matter. How Amun can influence his lover Ra. And how Ra likes to obey Amun. So this Ra force, you know as your life force. You know as your astrology wheel, shown here. The astrology wheel. That's what Ra is. Notice a wheel here and a wheel here. They're the same thing on a personal level in terms of spiritual cultivation. So Amun Ra, shown here, combining the disk of Ra, that's your sun chart, and Amun here are the two lobes of your brain. Again, you can see his feathers correspond to the two brain lobes of the mind, of the human mind. And when you have Amun Ra, shown here in gold, it means mind over matter. That you can take your astrology chart, which is your life's events, your powers, and through the mind, influence what happens in that chart. What kinds of things come your way. What kinds of things you can magnetize or repel through the powers of the mind focused on its chart. So it's quite specific. Amun Ra, mind over matter. Cosmic mind helps me to manifest good karmas in my chart every day. And that brings us to this side of the page. These four symbols here correspond to the gates proper. So I divide these top three according to the layout of the geography of ancient Kemet. So these are your 7 chakras. These are the first gates you must learn. A gay shaman must learn what's called the 7 Aritu, or the 7 African powers. And each of these mandalas or models you're seeing here are really nothing more than personality descriptions. These are ways of having the description of human personality dynamics. They are ways of categorizing human personalities. Many of you have taken personality tests. Have you heard of them? The Myers-Briggs test, for example, which is a way of classifying human personalities and behaviors. Well, that's nothing new, and that test is actually lame compared to the African systems you're seeing on the screen here. And personalities are also called what we call today personalities, or behavioral traits, were called gods in the old way. They were called gods, or archangels, or angels, or genies. What you're looking at here are the gates, the gods, the archangels, the genies that gay men in the Golden Beetle must master. So I repeat, when you think of the word gods or genies or archangels or angels, all it means are personality traits, behavioral traits, your moods. So those are the gates. The gates are the neteru, the gods. They are the archangels, i.e. your own personality ways. This definition makes it less abstract, less unapproachable than the word angel or God from the white people's point of view. You have to erase what the white person has told you, what an angel is, what a neteru is. It's your personality. And by default, what the monsters are and the demons are deranged personality traits. That's all it is. Crazy folk. Okay? So, we learn here the gates, first of the chakras, these 7 powers. These are very potent things. So these 7 gates of the chakras, called the halls of power in Kemet, the Arityu, are symbolic of the Nile. So this is the Nile here. This is the east. And this is the west bank. The blacks of Kemet had the Nile in the center, and they had the east bank of the Nile and the west bank of the Nile. So the first thing gay men must learn is Hapi, or the Nile. He's a deity, a neteru, a personality type with long breasts shown and big pregnant belly. He's clearly androgynous of spirit. And he's not androgynous of body per se. He's spiritually androgynous. You can be, if you are gay, you are all spiritually androgynous. It does not mean you have to change your body into an androgynous form. It's more important that you deal with your spiritual androgyneity and deal with the non-physical androgynous nature that makes you gay. There is a movement happening where a lot of people are moving towards gender reassignment surgery. And the danger of that being so promoted, it's not balanced in terms of presentation. Many gay people, and because we're entering the age of Aquarius, shown as Hapi, an androgynous male, those energies of Aquarius are coming into humanity. But because the white people are so physically oriented, they only focus on the material world, we're having this surge of interest in changing your body parts, the material side of your being, to express this androgynous feeling. The danger is that we're forgetting the spiritual androgynous activation. It's more powerful to deal first with your androgynous spiritual nature. And then after that, after you've been initiated into really embracing the message and the powers of your androgynous metaphysical body, the body beyond the physical. If after that initiation you still feel that you've got to change your body, well then that's your choice. My concern is there's no dialogue going on about being spiritually androgynous, which has nothing to do with your body parts, gender reassignment. It's got nothing to do with that. And to be frank about it, even if one changes their biology, they may still be spiritually unattuned to their androgyneity. You just look different physically, but you haven't enlightened your spirit your androgynous spirit. So this is a very subtle point. I'll discuss this more in future videos. But this Nile Valley here, this Nile water here, this river, that's why I chose to make it look elongated to resemble water or a waterway. These are the first gates a gay man must deal with. The root chakra deals with our gay bodies and our survival as gay men. We have to deal with that and invoke the forces of the root chakra. The sexual chakra, we have to deal with our sexuality as gay men, the wounds done to us as children by hetero idiots. The third chakra, our power as gay men, we have to now begin to talk about that and to activate what is a gay man's power in the world. The heart chakra, what is love to a gay man? What really is that? Is it the same word as the white people's word L-O-V-E? What is the power of the gay heart? Then the fifth chakra, the chakra of gay religions, gay scripture, gay spiritual dialogue. What is that? What is a gay spiritual path? When you come to the retreats, we deal with the throat chakra, all the chakras, and we engage these questions, both in terms of dialogue, teachings, and meditations. The sixth chakra, gay psychic powers. What are those? How do they work? And the seventh chakra, gay peace and enlightenment. What is that? Is gay enlightenment the same thing as what Buddha was describing? Or is it different? Of course the answer is it's very different. So these are the first gates, the first personality types, or the first gods or archangels that you have to learn. These are the archangels, the 7 personality types. They are the master gods, the master archangels. And inside of each chakra, see there's here a necklace of 7, but inside of each one of those are 7. There's 7 little ones in here, 7 little ones in here, 7 little ones in here. Each one of these little circles you see here has a complete necklace of 7 inside of it. So we have 7 big necklaces, each containing 7 smaller ones. That's 49. And there are even more inside of that. And that's the real mystery of the gay shaman's approach to the chakras, where I teach you the 7 main pearls on your pearl necklace, and gay men love a good pearl necklace. Inside of each pearl on your pearl necklace are 7 more tinier pearl necklaces, and even more within those. So first you learn the Nile, the middle here, the waters of the Nile. Then you learn the East Bank. The zodiac is a personality categorization system for the living. It tells us how gay men will live on earth, how their personalities and their talents, or lack thereof, will bring them good luck or bad luck on earth. So the zodiac is for the East Bank, where the living are. And then you see over here what's called the Rainbow Tree of Life. This is the tree of eternal gay life, because all gay men will be alive, they will live, and we will have to go back to the other side and live on the other side. So we have to deal with this. We have to deal with life and afterlife. I don't call it death because you don't die. You simply live on a different plane. So here we have the mandala, the map of how to live a holistic, well-rounded life. And in each one of these signs, you have the 12 signs: Aries the ram, Taurus the bull, Gemini the twins, etc., all the way around you see. In each one of these slices or signs is another wheel. So I could take this so-called Aries slice, we call it Mahus or Geb. Inside of this first slice, I could draw a wheel here and divide that wheel into 12 little spokes. So there's a wheel, there are 12 signs in here, 12, there's a zodiac inside of this slice, a zodiac in this slice. There are these tiny zodiacs within zodiacs within zodiacs, like little Russian dolls. And so you learn the major gates, then the minor gates inside of that, and we keep going into tinier gates. The more you go in, it means you're a higher initiate. The more you're able to control your life. Over here is the rainbow tree of eternal gay life. This is the tree of the ancestors, the gay ancestors. Now, there are groups out there that talk about the tree of life. The problem that they have is the tree of life was not meant for the living. The zodiac is for the living. This tree is for those on the other side, living in what we call the duat. This is the afterlife tree. And so I teach them in the ancestor rituals through this tree. This is called the granary of the ancestors, with the Dogon called the granary. This is the granary of your life, the storehouse that stores all the karmas that you must face while alive. And this is the granary that stores the karmas you must face when you're alive on the other side. You also enter this tree every time you go to sleep, because death, what's called death in the Book of the Dead, refers both to when you die to the physical world and when you have the death of sleep. Sleep is a kind of death where you're dead to the external physical realm. So this is the tree of dreaming. And inside of each of these spheres, you see 10 basic colors here and a little network tree here. Well, inside of each of these little colors is a whole other tree. So there's a tree in each little ball here, what I call the disco balls of the afterlife. The disco balls of the afterlife, and gay men love disco balls, gay men love balls. So you have to learn to master your balls here and to find the glitter and sparkle and the dance, the song that's being played inside of each of these disco balls, and you have to learn to dance divinely in each of these balls. So we have the archangels here, the core 7 African powers. Then we have what's called the gay man's or the gay hero's journey. This is the journey of the gay hero, the 12 adventures that all gay men must master to have a good, well-rounded life. And then we have the tree of life, disco balls, where in the afterlife or in the dream dimensions, when you dream, this is your physical body, by the way, when you dream, the body shuts off, and then these other 9 circles turn on. And when you dream, you're actually flying. You're trying to fly to different dimensions in the dream world or the afterlife. And the function of dreaming is to prepare you for the afterlife. So you've got to meet your ancestors, all the gay ancestors that were before you, and meet them in different realms. And sometimes you get stuck. You can't reach certain disco balls here. You can't reach certain dimensions in the spirit world. And you don't want that to happen. You don't want to be stuck in a dream world while you're sleeping. You don't want to be stuck in a certain afterlife realm against your will. And in order for you to travel up these roads and these spheres, these heavens, through dreaming or in the afterlife, you have to live a good walk on earth. You have to round out your life, your behavior, your karmas while you are alive. And the spirits in this tree are watching the spirits in this tree. They're the same spirits, except this is their yang or external expression. This is their yin or secret expression, their hidden and cloaked eye. This is their overt eye. But these are the 2 eyes of the gatekeepers. In other words, you have Hapi of the Nile, and he's shown in 2 forms, what's called Hapi of the lotus and Hapi of the papyrus. The circle is the papyrus or the external yang Hapi. The lotus would be the inner Hapi, the internal Hapi. And once you learn the Nile, 7 archangel powers of how to control your personality and the elements. You take the powers of the chakras to help you create good luck in your astrology transits every day of your life. And because you were smart and did the good thing, the right thing in the tests of life from your transits, those good things are stored in this granary in these spheres. So you'll notice we have the archangels to look over you while alive on earth and in the afterlife. No other group in the world, no other organization applies these metaphysical tools in this manner because they're heterosexuals. They're almost all heterosexual. And heterosexuals are not gatekeepers. They are not going to be able to access all of these gates. That's a lot of gates. We have 7 here, and then there are 7 in each of those. That's 49 there, and there are 12 major gates, but each one has 12. 12 times 12 is 144 gates here, just on the surface. We have 10 basic spheres here. Inside of each is 10. That's 100. Each of these roads you see have a tree of 10 spheres on it. So it's a lot of gates. No heteros would explode. Their heads would explode trying to manage all those gates. It's best they take care of the children because they're always telling us they're here to breed. So I'm like, wonderful. You do you. You take care. In fact, you might want to take better care of children because from the look of the world, you're not raising children very well. You'll need us to help you with that mystery. But since you're always telling us that you're here to breed, then you do that. So you stay busy on your neck of the woods, and we'll stay busy on ours. Because as gay men, our job is to give birth. Hoppy is shown as pregnant. Well, what is he birthing? He's androgynous. He can fertilize himself. It's called the divine fertilization, or what we call the birth of the immortal child. This is one reason why gay men often stay a bit Peter Panish, a bit childlike. But we've lost the deeper meaning of this feeling of maintaining the inner child. This inner child was called the immortal fetus, what we call the Ba in Kemet. And gay men are supposed to, through internalized tantra, with their mate, with their man, the 2 men use their powers of tantra to give birth to the divine child within, who sits at the crown chakra here, at the crown of the tree here, and around the crown of the chart here. These 2 signs, Aquarius and Capricorn, kind of crown the chart, and this crown sphere, this crown chakra, and this crowning of the chart are all the immortal child, meaning your divine essence that is forever innocent, pure, and good. Finally, you learn these gates, which are the gates of Orion, what we call Sahura. This is Orion, and what the heteros, particularly heteros in the Kemetic, the black Kemetic community, have not been bright enough to figure out. If you look at this image, he's clearly dancing. He's not walking, he's not simply standing. He's actually doing a dance move. Orion corresponds to the set of stars we know as Orion, and he was the source of all kingship in Kemet. He was one of the sources, but he was not so much the kingship as the DNA, preserving the purity of the DNA, the good DNA in the people, particularly in the line of kings. Once you get a bad king, he can destroy the whole empire. So the Kamau were very strict about this god Orion, called Osar, or Hapi Osar. They were very strict to keep Orion happy, keep Sahura, Orion, happy, so that we have good leaders coming all the time. So to do this, there was a complete system based upon the number 8, which I won't discuss unless you're gay and you come to the Golden Beetle events. But there are 8 gates that he controls. Even in many of the other African versions of Kemet, like in the Yoruba, this would be like Obatala, whose number is often 8. So Sahura Orion has 8 secret gates called the Winds of Sahura. And there are certain movements you do. They're very airy looking, actually, movements that he has brought me. That if you dance these movements while staring either visually or in your mind at Orion constellation, it's a very big, beautiful, splendid constellation. It's seen most easily in the winter months in the north hemisphere, and the summer months in the south hemisphere. And Orion does cut both hemispheres. He balances the two hemispheres. One of the few constellations that both hemispheres can see. Because his belt, this star here, lies exactly on the ecliptic, the dividing line between north and south hemisphere of the Earth. There are these movements, these dance movements that actually resemble what you're seeing him do here, the move he's making here. And if you do these movements, you summon a certain kind of serpent energy from Orion constellation, and it improves your life, improves your health, improves your money, improves your friendships, your marriage. It's unbelievable. So, a major part of the gates that we learn to handle are the 8 gates of Sahura Orion. And they are splendid indeed. You really become healthier, happier. Your life just blooms. It's fantastic. It even shows you a way of how to organize your home to make you successful. So these are the gates that make a gatekeeper. What I wanted to show you here is that although it is a fractal, the whole religion is a fractal, meaning you can zoom into it infinitely. There's no end. Although it's bound, you go into that boundary, zoom, 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 never ending. But there is a certain level of success. There's a point where you have enough gates open where you are in all spirits. And all spirits means you've covered all of these gates. The gates of the Nile, of your chakras, check. A+ in all these gates. You got an A+ in the East Bank zodiac of the living. All these gates in this wheel in your chart, you got an A+ on your astrology chart and transits. Check. Then you learn the gates of dreaming and the gates of the afterlife. You learn all these gates. Check. Then you learn the gates, these 8 gates, the Ogdoad gates of Sahura Orion. Check. So you learn 4 mandalas and their gates. It can be done in one lifetime if you don't have ego. If you have ego, it will take you several lifetimes to master these gates. So in the end, gatekeepers and their gates must learn the gates of the 7 African powers, the chakras or the Nile, the gates of the living, called the zodiac gates, the gates of the rainbow tree of eternal gay life, and the gates of Orion. It is not eternally learning something new. You simply learn one set of gates and you learn their fractal self-similarity gates within themselves. Gates within gates. And much like a doctor, you do go to school to learn how to be a surgeon or pediatrician or whatever your specialty is. And you can always learn more about your craft, about your career. But there's a point when you are certified. You are a doctor and you can practice. It's the same thing for gay shamans. When my shamans learn the gates of the chakras, called the Nile, they learn the gates of the living, called the zodiac. They learn the gates of the ancestors, called the tree of eternal gay life. They learn the gates of Sahura Orion, the winds of Orion. Then I certify you. You are now a gatekeeper in all spirits, and you are able to now wield those powers for the good of our community and the planet. You are now certified to go forth in the name of the King and to help the world maintain balance. So each of these gate structures, chakras, zodiac, rainbow tree of eternal gay life, Orion, are initiations. And you learn to handle your personality on ever more deep levels and to project the thoughts of your personality of Amun to change the energy of the world, Ra, and you become Amun Ra. And finally, I put him over these four symbols because Amun Ra should control all the gates. Cosmic mind should control the gates of power. And once you do that, you are a gatekeeper. And I guarantee you, the hetero bashing will go down. Because once we do what they fear most about us, meaning being magical, being voodoo people, if you are gay, you are a voodoo person. You are a sorcerer. You are a magician. You are a mage. You are a shaman. Some of you will get through all the gates. Some of you will make it through a third of the gates. Depends upon your ego. Depends upon your karma. But we are magic. We are the most magical group on the planet. Gay people are the most magical mystics in any community. But we haven't codified our magical powers into a system. It's not been systematized until now, and now it is. So I call gay men to come and learn these gates. And then we can affect, our minds can affect anyone's gates. If anyone tries to bash us, we affect their gates. We affect their chakras, their chart, their dreams, or their spiritual flux. We will start what's that movie? The Last Airbender. We start bending the elements. Shamans are able to bend the elements. Yet in that movie, a wonderful movie to watch to show you what a gay shaman is. It's a very good movie in that sense, although the movie was terribly racist in terms of having all these white people representing Asians. It was just, for my eyes, intolerable. But the message was good, but I just did not like the racism of that movie. But the idea that gay people are masters at bending elements is true. And that's why heteros fear us. And I guarantee they're going to have good cause to fear us. My mission is to get 1 million gay men awakened. 1 million shamans on earth. That number is enough to be a tipping point, to tip the scales. Because we can affect politics, policy, leaders through their gates by simply closing our eyes and doing our thing. You see, they pushed us around and now we're at a tipping point, meaning critical mass. Enough is enough. Now the pattern is going to change. And the golden beetle is come to give gay men these 4 patterns of gates and say, you master this, your life is now yours. No politician, no president, no monk, no pope, no imam, no one will control you. Because all you got to do is close your eyes, zoom into yourself, and start dealing with people on the level of gates, the level of voodoo, of gay magic. And they'll think twice bothering you and bothering our boys and bashing us. They'll think twice about that, I guarantee it. So the age of Aquarius is here, the age of Hopi, the androgynous spirit is here. The all spirits are back. And through 4 little modules, you can rule the world. Our confidence lies in these 4 little modules. Our salvation lies in awakening these gates, all the spirits in these gates, to become a healing and threatening all spirits. May the gay shamans resurrect. I call the ancestors from the eternal tree of rainbow life to come back and to inspire gay men to awaken these gates again and to assume the mantle of power and to serve the kingdom of the gatekeepers, to heal this world and to put a stopper in evil, in bashing, and in oppression. Long live the voodoo of the African Gaytes, of the blacks of Kemet. Long live the gay shamans of the Nile Valley. Dwawend Hotepu.